Roto RX, MLB, Fantasy Baseball, episode 14. I'm Andy Singleton, People's Pen on Twitter. You're tuned into Nickel Press TV on YouTube. The guy sitting next to me is Tahab Bedek, Lord Bedek on Twitter. Follow him. You'll definitely get at least one laugh a day, if not more. Thanks to both of us, to you and I. We shortened the show last week successfully. And I want to go ahead, go for it.
How big of a success was it? My goal prediction promise was most views of all time. What happened? I need answers. Have we gotten any response from the viewers as to what happened? Maybe they want a 2-hour show every day.
Well, we actually got negative feedback for this little banter in the opening segment between you and I, even though the timestamp is there. Somebody said I couldn't get past 2 minutes, too much talking, no baseball talk. I was like, oh, well, what do you want? We're trying to build, a little flow with this. But in case you're wondering why I'm wearing this hat, it's because I always remember to wish people a happy holiday after the holiday. So to remind you all to have a happy 4th of July, I decided to wear the hat. So salute to you, America. Salute to you, Mr. Bedek. What else do I want to say? I want to thank, as always, the Fantasy Assembly, Jim Finch in particular, for showing so much dedication and passion and commitment to helping us with this show. I want to wish well to a friend of mine, Chris McBrien, a.k.a. Dear Mr. Fantasy, who has decided to, as he called it, unplug his mic and sign off from the Dear Mr. Fantasy Baseball podcast. So maybe we'll pick up 1 or 2 new followers in the wake of that.
Is he retiring from the game?
Well, I don't know. To this point, he's taking a break, and he's told me what his plans are for the future. And it was not fantasy baseball related, but who knows? Can you really ever be out of this game?
They say the happiest day of a man's life is when he writes his first fantasy baseball article. And the second happiest day of his life is the day he writes his last one.
Okay. Well, that could be possible. In other news, Antonio Bastardo. Why am I mentioning him? Well, because my captain just told me today that he bought a house down the block from him. So I am going to try to go by my captain's house now and see if I can get Antonio Bastardo as a guest on this show. And in case you're wondering, on the Nick Tropiano front, there is no update. However, I did send him a tweet re-inviting him onto the show. If you're late to the story, a colleague of mine dated his sister back in high school, and I've pushed for us to try to get Tropiano on as a guest as well.
Maybe Tropiano doesn't remember your friend so favorably.
This was probably when he was about 10 years old, so he might have no clue who he was, because I believe his sister is much older than he. But I could be wrong. We'll see. We don't know. Anyway, I do know what we're going to do is give you news, injury updates, what we do with guys that you're not really sure you should trust, some youngsters making noise, and some others you might want to file away for Dynasty leagues. So I got 25 guys. We'll try to get it in 30 minutes or less. You ready to go?
Always.
All right, so let's start with some news and notes. Prince Fielder, he's heating up just as you predicted. I saw him get dropped in my long-running Dynasty league that is the cutthroat and ruthless league. And guys like Prince Fielder do not fall off the tree too often. And he got cut. Of course, because I'm in first place, my waiver claim fell short, and the last place team picked him up. But I immediately made the attempt. And in his last 10 games, he's 12 for 34 for a 353 average, 2 homers, 6 RBIs. So what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, good job, good effort on at least attempting to get Prince Fielder. As I said, he obviously was going to break out of this slump at some point going forward. People give up. People have no faith. People have no hope. They just give up on proven hogs year after year after year after year. Who was it this year? Stanton. Yeah, trade him for whatever you can get. So people make me sick. Tell him Cargo last year, his terrible start. I've seen people saying to drop him. What did he do the rest of the year? It's disgusting. This guy should be beaten in public square somewhere.
Well, kudos to you. I was in agreement with you, but he's made you look like a genius now, the Prince. Maybe we'll get another ESPN The Body episode out of this. Jose Reyes, he was signed by the Mets. We kind of didn't know how to make that last week, but he did sign with the Mets. He is playing third for the Mets, so I was a little bit off on that. Well, based on what I heard, he just physically could not play third base, but he's going to get a shot there. He's played 3 games for the Mets. He's up to Double-A now. All 3 have been at third. He's hitless in his minors tune-up. More Mets news. And again, a lot of people think I'm a Met fan. I'm a Yankee fan. It just so happens there's a lot of Mets talk and coverage in this town, especially with the team they have coming off a World Series appearance. But Noah Syndergaard, there was talk that he had bone spurs. He denied it. It's been confirmed that he does. Steven Matz also has bone spurs. These could potentially be 2 huge breaks for the Mets. Are you worried? Would you be worried if you were a Met fan?
Oh, most definitely. You got to be worried mostly about Syndergaard. Matz is whatever. We don't care as much about him, although he's a key component going forward. But, yeah, it's really too bad there. You really don't want to see anything going wrong with a legend like Syndergaard. But he's going to be – I don't think he's going to I think he's going to be able to fight through it. He's a warrior. They call him Thor. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I need to hear the doctor right now. I need to hear what he has to say. I need him to comfort me, comfort us, and tell me that Syndergaard, Thor, is going to be okay. Is he available?
He is not. He did give us some updates on Strasburg.
I'm going to need his telephone number.
You should have it. He's on speed dial too.
All day long. Well, he's doing surgery. He can give me live feeds of what's going on. Anyway,
he did give us Kershaw, Strasburg, and my new ace, John Gant, who also hit the DL. Let me go back to one other Mets pitcher, and just as part of the news and notes section, if you will. A lot of reason I get associated with the Mets is because of my affinity for Jacob deGrom. And I'm constantly tweeting out that the Mets have cost this guy numerous wins in his career. Well, I finally decided to sit down, crunch the numbers, do the math, and I came up with a conservative figure of 18 wins over the last 3 years that the Mets have cost Jacob deGrom. And that's, again, being conservative. He's had 18 starts, allowing 2 or fewer runs, where he's only received 1.7 runs in support on average. That is horrible. So I think you all should be paying deGrom more respect than you do, and that is my Jacob deGrom moment. Let's move on to the Yankees. As I did say, I am a Yankee fan. There's a lot of talk of them trading one of their 3 closers that they have for somebody from the Cubs. Now, I haven't really heard this name associated with him with that trade yet, or potential trade, but Kyle Schwarber is kind of thought to be one of the building blocks for any such deal as that. Would you do that move if you were the Yankees, or even if you were the Cubs? Would you want Schwarber for Chapman or Andrew Miller?
Heck yeah, buddy! If I can get a guy like Schwarber for one of these guys right now, the Yankee season is done. Let me be frank. If I could, the season's a wrap. It's over. They got to get the best deal they can get possibly. That means dumping Chat. I don't really care if they keep Chapman and sign him long term or whatever. You got to trade just because he's a cool dude. It's probably not the smart thing. You already got Betances. I just go that route. I'd trade them both. If I could get Schwarber and some other major pieces for these dudes, young guys, it's a must. It's a must do. These guys are bullpen guys, and your team's not competitive, so who cares?
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm not totally opposed to it. The only problem I have with it is the Yankees already have Aaron Judge at AAA, who's basically similar to Schwarber and just this monster who mashes and plays the outfield and a corner outfield spot at that. So I think it would create more problems than it's worth. But there is a lot of talent on the Cubs that I'd be interested in hearing what they might be willing to offer. So we'll have to see how that goes. Last thing before we wrap news and notes, Jorge De La Rosa, your boy, your long-lost cousin, he's lighting it up. So is this for real? He's 35 years old. He's 4-0 in June with a 1.96 ERA and 19 Ks in 23 innings pitched.
37 is the new 25. De La Rosa and myself are both getting better as we age, and it's showing in the work we're putting out. He's just killing it right now. I've been a huge fan of this guy forever. He does what he does. The K's are coming, but let's be real with ourselves. It's going to keep continuing on. No, I mean, we're replacing this. We're not chasing this. Let's replace this.
Well, we'll get to the chase to replace, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to mention.
I'm a big fan. Thank you,
Mr. Jorge, because you do enjoy his work. So let's press speed dial number 2 on your phone. Let's bring in the doctor. I mentioned Strasburg just hit the DL. What does the doctor want to tell us about this?
I want to know. Better be something good.
Hey guys, we're talking Steven Strasburg, Nationals pitcher who once again finds himself on the DL list. It seems to be a recurring thing for him season after season. Now this is a weird issue that he had. He supposedly subluxed or partially dislocated 2 of his ribs in his back while in the weight room. Now that's a little bit of a weird injury, but apparently a chiropractor popped those back into place, and that is okay. But in addition, what got him on the DL list is having an upper back strain. We've heard this with Strasburg in the past, and my biggest fear is that there's something bigger going on, or that his mechanics are really putting a lot of strain on his upper back, causing him to have these issues. If you remember last year, he missed time because of an upper back neck latissimus dorsi issue, and so from my estimation, this is kind of a nebulous area where you just say an upper back strain, and that has a really kind of a cloudy picture as to how long he's going to be out. My best guesstimate is 2 to 4 weeks, because he's going to need time for this to really calm down, for the strain area, whether it's the muscles or the ligaments, to really calm down in the back, and then to work on his mechanics to get him back into throwing form where he can continue, hopefully, his run for an undefeated season. I mean, a 10-0 start this season has been fantastic, but if he has a nagging back, don't look for those statistics to continue to move forward. So in my estimation, about 4 weeks, and it could be even longer if this kind of continues to be an irritation where they just can't seem to get him over the hump. But we'll have to see how this goes.
It's pretty scary. Pretty scary stuff. This guy, you know, we thought he was over the injury bug that's plagued him throughout his career. It's now resurfaced. But that does open the door for other things, such as his teammate. And we're going to transition into the baby boomer segment. That's Lucas Giolito. Now, if you're regular to the show, you know I made a failed attempt to go see him pitch live a few months ago. So I have a personal bias against him. So don't hold everything I say right now completely against him. But his debut was inconclusive. There was a rain delay. You know, he got his start cut short. He really wasn't great, but he really wasn't bad. He only threw 45 pitches, gave up 1 hit, walked 2, and only K'd 1. I personally still don't think he's ready. He is going to get another start. It looks like it's going to be against the Reds this weekend. He could strike out 20 against them. He could strike out none. Who knows? But I think eventually he gets sent down. I think this was really just to get him a taste. I still think he has some control issues to work out. I don't know if my man has anything to add to that, but he's here for the interim, so he's definitely addable. I just wouldn't think he's going to be the savior to your team. I say that more for like a dynasty league where if you promote him and then you can't demote him unless the big club does, you might want to wait a little bit before you do that. Do you have anything to add to Giolito?
Giolito, yes, he's Italian, as am I, and we share that. We also both have cannon arms and beards, and he looks good, man. I think he's gonna fit right in. It's crazy how the team that's this talented can just go and bring another stud just straight up like this. It's incredible. I'm jealous. The Mariners have nobody to bring up. Like all these teams are bringing up their hogs right now. We have nobody to bring up.
You got Wade LeBlanc. So you rejoice.
I really totally forgot about Wade LeBlanc's existence. I remember he.
So we were in the middle of the Lord's Wade LeBlanc tail when he went all Han Solo and froze. So let's just take that from the top.
Where was it? Who was I speaking on?
Wade LeBlanc.
Oh, Wade LeBlanc. Yeah, the Frenchman. I forgot he still played Major League Baseball. Like, I remember his rise to stardom. It seems like 20 years ago with the Padres. He was famous for, like, in fantasy for like a week or so, and then we never heard from him again. So I'm kind of doubting that he's going to do anything this year either, or ever again, or ever.
Just so you guys know, if you're confused, because there wasn't a break or a pause, just the action jump from Wade LeBlanc, frozen, hat off. We've had a long pause here. So for us to pick back up our train of thought, we're talking about Lucas Giolito. You're talking about the Nationals having just this depth of an abundance of riches. Speaking to that, Trea Turner, their prized possession at shortstop, has been doing so well at AAA. He, in 73 games, batted .299, 50 runs, 7 homers, 32 RBIs, 22 steals. Only 2 times was he caught stealing. They're trying to get him so desperately into the lineup that they're moving him to center field, at least trying him out there, because that's how bad their center fielders have been. And this is good news because he'll still retain shortstop eligibility. So Trea Turner, good move, coming soon. Chad Kuhl, speaking of embarrassment of riches, the Pirates have an abundance of pitching as well. Chad Kuhl just came out in his major league debut, beat a guy named Clayton Kershaw. Wasn't like dominant, but wasn't horrible either.
Whatever.
What are you, Kershaw fan?
No, definitely.
You just don't like Chad Kuhl?
I totally respect Jack Kuhl. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure yourself as well as myself have accomplished many impressive feats. Some might say more impressive than that. Some might not. But, I mean.
Wait till we get to later when I talk about a minor leaguer. You're going to feel like you're talking about yourself.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, that's later on. Last real guy I want to talk to before we bring the doctor back in and speak of Clayton Kershaw is Steven Moya. He's a absolute masher. He can hit for a decent enough average. All he's really needed is regular at-bats in the bigs, and he appears to be starting to get them. He's hit 35 homers at AA. He hit 23 at AAA, and he's currently on around the 30-homer pace in the bigs. So Steven Moya, if you could somehow find him available somewhere, I would say he's somebody to definitely pick up and should produce. So with that said, let's bring in the doctor again. Speak on Clayton Kershaw.
Dodgers ace Clayton Kershaw has a back issue that is putting him at risk for being on the DL list. Now, we're not entirely clear what's going on with his back. The back itself is very complicated. There's a series of muscles that stabilize the bones in the back itself, and within the bone itself is a hole where the spinal cord travels. There are discs between the bones that could be herniated that can also push on a nerve, or you can have bone spurs that form that actually push on the nerves as well. What is really going on with him, we just don't know yet. We do know they flew back to see the Dodgers doctors and to see one of the back specialists and surgeon that helps to take care of the Dodgers. Whenever I hear a specialist and a surgeon being involved, you worry about this being more of a disc issue and maybe even a nerve issue. But his lower back is sore. His start this weekend is in question, all depending on what happens. This is very concerning because we've seen athletes go down time and time again for what appears to be a back strain, but tends to be then more of a nerve issue and ultimately needs surgery. So I don't have a timetable on this because we just don't know what we're dealing with. If best case, it tends to be more of a muscular issue, maybe about 2 weeks. If it tends to be more of a neurologic or a nerve issue or a disc pushing on a nerve, then it could mean surgery and even losing the entire season. But we will know more information as the MRIs are done, as maybe even the CAT scans are done, which have not been at this time. This is Dr. Seelan Parekh, the Fantasy Doctor.
Wow. So That is horrible, horrible, horrible stuff to hear about Kershaw. That you're not really. I haven't heard too many people talking about it yet, so not hoping that happens, but we'll have to keep very close tabs on that, and let's hope for what the doctor says is best case scenario, and it's just something muscular. Let's move on. Chase or replace.
I don't chase them, I replace them. I don't chase them, I duck them, I replace them with another one.
Some people like this segment. Some people are confused by this segment. I think others just like the music. Regardless, right. Let's move on. Bud Norris. Let me just try to re-explain these rules real quick.
Please.
Okay.
Help me out.
So I'm going to give you a name, okay?
Okay.
And if this guy is on your roster currently, are you keeping him on your roster or are you replacing him? And if he's not currently on your roster, are you leaving him alone or are you trying to chase that guy? Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Bud Norris, his last 5 starts. Wow. You don't even want the stats. His last 5 starts, he's pitching to a 2 ERA with practically a K per inning. You still replacing? What if
Cut it.
What if you don't own
out
him?
of there.
What if you don't own him? No chase? Just leave him alone.
If you don't own him, you can chase him. You can chase him on the waiver wire for a spot start and then go from there.
Okay. So you're not buying this resurgence. Tanner Roark. He's got an ERA under 3. Ks and whip have been pretty good. And someone in your league definitely wants him. So you probably could find a trade partner if you have Tanner Roark. So if you have Tanner Roark, you keeping him or you replacing him? And if you don't have Tanner Roark, do you want to try to acquire him?
I think I'm going to replace him. If somebody wants to chase him, I'm going to replace him with some other bum. Because remember, we talked about this guy like a month ago when he had the crazy Ks out of nowhere. You were all excited. And, he hasn't been quite the same as that, but he's been pretty solid. He's a replaceable guy to me.
Okay. You know what? It seems to me like he might be shaping up to be one of these odds and evens guy. I had him in 2014 where basically rode him to the playoffs. He had a phenomenal year. He was consistent pretty much throughout the entire year. And last year they took him out of the rotation. They moved him around a little bit. He wasn't the same guy. Didn't really have the same opportunities last year. Now he finds himself back in the rotation. He's still on a good team, and he's been pretty good throughout the season so far. So I'm not necessarily scared of Tanner Roark. I don't know that I'm really going out trying to acquire him, but if I can get him for cheap enough, absolutely. But I don't know that I'm replacing him unless somebody's willing to offer a boatload. But
that's why we need to clarify these rules because I want to replace them. But I want to replace them to somebody who's chasing them. I mean, depends on what I can get. I mean, it all depends on the actual players in the trade, of course. But we're going just in a general sense, so I got you. But hopefully some of these viewers will start putting in their personal trades, and we can dissect them with a little chase and replace.
Yes, that would be good. Probably our number one fan or listener, viewer to this point is Paul Rosasco. And this next guy I'm going to bring up is in direct correlation to a guy he wanted us to discuss, and that's Seung Hwan Oh. The Cardinals have done a lot of talking about this guy replacing Rosenthal as the closer. Still has no saves. Seems like he's right there. Seems like he is the closer, but again, still has no saves. Rosenthal, what do you do if you got this guy? He's removed from his position. You think this is a temporary ban? You think this is more towards a permanent move? I mean, this guy was originally supposed to be a starter. They kind of made the Mariano-like move with him. He looked dominant for a while, and now he's just completely fallen off the tracks. So is this just something to get his head right, clear him up, get him some non-pressure, relief appearances, and then thrust him back into that closer's role? Or do you think this is something like long-term you should be looking at either Segrist or Oh?
You want to know what I think? I think Rosenthal needs a 30-day stay at an inpatient treatment. This guy's head is so far gone. I don't even know what he's thinking anymore. Nobody knows what he's doing. He's imploding every time he goes onto the mound. When he's getting out of an inning, it's by pure luck. He's getting a liner roped at the second baseman's head, or somebody making a diving catch to save his ass in the outfield. Looks terrible. This is Bing coming. Oh, is the guy to go with, and that he's going to be real filthy. Chris isn't on that level. It's got to be and he's ready.
All right, there you go. I hope that answers any questions you had about any three of the Cardinals relievers. Let's move on. As I mentioned earlier, the last doctor report we have is on John Gant. Starting to look pretty good for the Braves as a starter. Now he finds himself on the disabled list. I was watching the game. I was watching the start. I saw it happen. Didn't look good. He tried to pitch through it, took himself out. So immediately he knew something was wrong. Turns out it is an oblique strain. So let's see what the doctor says.
John Gant, pitcher for the Braves, was pulled out of the game on Monday night in the second inning with a strain of his left abdominal oblique. Now, the worrisome thing is that when it happened, you see him pull up and he clutches the outer aspect of his left abdomen. He threw one more pitch, same thing happened. So he strained one of these, the muscles, the oblique muscles of his abdomen. Now, these muscles kind of help to encase the abdomen and help to are one of the core muscles of the front part of the abdomen. They can take a while to really quiet down, and for some players in the past, they've been out for months with this healing. For a pitcher, this is a very important area because the core muscles help to stabilize the abdomen as you wind up and as you pitch and as you throw the pitch. So there's a lot of twisting that occurs throughout the abdomen with your pitching, and the core muscles really help to engage and stabilize the core. So with his abdominal strain, this could become a big issue for the Braves. Look for him to be out at least 2 weeks, maybe upwards of 6, depending on how this progresses. He's going to have rest, anti-inflammatories, and once again, you're hearing about working on pitching mechanics to try to take strain off that area so that even as things are coming back, he may be able to get onto the mound before it's 100% because he's worked on the mechanics to try to take the strain off that area. So 2 weeks at best, 6 weeks at worst. Dr. Seelan Parekh, your fantasy doctor.
All right, so if you're in a redraft league, you pretty much go ahead and cut them, drop them. This would be more towards the Dynasty owners, kind of in that no man's land because he is still young enough to want a roster. But it's just looking like a whole lot of mess right now. So if you're in a position like me where you don't have a DL spot left to put him on, I think it's safe to say you can drop him and run the risk that nobody else looks to pick him up at this time. They'd be fools not to keep him.
Is he related to Ron Gant?
No. And I'm laughing because I don't know if it was you that asked me that the first time I mentioned them 3 episodes ago or if it was somebody else that asked me that. Anyway, no. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Dynasty Leagues, to potential production. These are guys that you should start to keep on tab on. Last week we talked about Dylan Overton, who got called up right after we aired the show. Looked decent in his start for the A's. He's going to get another one. We also talked about Brady Rogers on the Astros. This week we got a couple guys that are a little lower in the system. So not necessarily guys you should be, thinking are going to help your team this year, but these are guys you certainly should be starting to hear their names mentioned and should be certainly monitoring. I'm going to start with Chris Paddack. This is the guy who, if I were to design a baseball player in a video game, first of all, I would name him Lord Beddick. Second, I would give him the attributes that Chris Paddack seems to possess. I know it's low A, but he's 20 years old. He was an 8th-round draft pick. He was considered a first-round talent. Now, you ready for this? In his last 3 starts, he has not allowed a hit. That's 3 consecutive hitless starts, not runless starts. This isn't a scoreless streak. This is a hitless streak. He's gone 5 innings in all 3 of those starts. He struck out 11, 8, and 9 for a total of 28 Ks in 15 innings. He's posting a ridiculous 15.25 K per 9 rate so far this season. Yeah, just keep tabs on this guy, Chris Paddack. That's Paddack. He'll remind you of the Lord, and you're definitely going to want to grab this guy if you're in a dynasty league. Second guy I got is Yohander Mendez, big lefty for the Rangers. He is now up to recently promoted to Double-A. He's got a career ERA of 2.62, roughly 9 Ks per 9, and he's walking about 2.5 per 9. These guys moving pretty quickly through the Rangers system. Rangers don't necessarily have a lock on their rotation, hence Chichi Gonzalez coming up and starting recently for them. So it's not going to be this season, but it could be sometime soon. And then the last guy I want to get into actually might help you sooner than later, and I think you will probably have some information to add on him. That's Hunter Renfroe, the 24-year-old former first-round pick of the Padres. Let me just give you some numbers on him. So last year he got a late season call up to AAA, and he pretty much raked, hit over 300, was on like a 30 home run pace, yada, yada, yada. So far, it's 76 games at AAA. He's batting .322, 18 homers, 68 RBIs, 59 runs, only 3 stolen bases, but I think you'll give those up, for the power numbers he's producing. So basically, he just backed up everything he was doing at AAA last year and proved it's all real. The only guys standing in his way for a team that's not really going anywhere are Matt Kemp, Melvin B.J. Upton, and John Jay. So I don't think it's too long before one of those guys is out of the picture. You excited about the potential of Hunter Renfroe manning the Padres outfield this season?
Heck yeah, he's the best guy they got left. He's their only hope. Unfortunately, they got one out there. Matt Kemp can't really do anything with him, but yeah, the other John Jay. I mean, why has this guy not already been dealt? Like, your season's over. Like, let's get the big dog up. It's not like he's 19 or something. He's 24 years old. Like, let's get this popping. Like, this is ridiculous. So bring up him.
Did you get anything up and going yet?
Bring him up, and what else?
Hold on. I'm doing it right now.
Oh, because I found my hotspot.
That's why it's too late. I'm almost done. Okay. Thank you.
I gotta edit that out. I gotta edit that out. All right. Bring the big dog up. All right, well, we're almost done. I wish I could put that in, but I gotta edit that out.
Mom, meatloaf.
Oh man, this show every week there's something that just keeps us from mainstream.
Tell the guys that came down to visit the Papa Benedictine weekend down at the manor on my day off today. So that's what I'm doing down here.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up. Bouncing back real quick. Tyler Skaggs, Angels pitcher, currently Angels pitcher. He's moved around a bit from the D-backs, Angels. He's had a bunch of problems. He's starting to throw the ball again. Hopefully, he will have a successful return to the mound this time. Ruby De La Rosa is playing toss as well, so that's a good sign for him. And finally, Garrett Richards seems to be taking to the stem cell treatment he's been receiving, whereas his teammate Andrew Heaney, who underwent the same procedure, is not faring so well. So remember, fantasy doctor Celine Perec told us a few episodes back that Garrett Richards was elected for the stem cell treatment. If it took, he might be able to be back on a mound this season. And if it didn't take, he would ultimately have to opt for surgery, pretty much ending his 2017 year. So far, seems to be like it's working. Anything you want to add, big guy?
No, that'd be really cool. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Garrett back in the fold here. I usually don't like people named Garrett just from like life's experiences. I haven't really met anyone I know named Garrett that I actually liked. So I'm just a random fact for you. But yeah, other than that, I'm good to go, man. I would love to see Richards back on the field. I mean, their season's over anyway. I don't see why they would rush him. I don't see why he didn't the surgery. I love your hat. And I mean, ain't nothing to say about that guy. He's not worth my time right now.
Well, with that said, minus the hiccups, hope you enjoyed this episode. This has been episode 14 of Roto RX, your fantasy prescription. Happy 4th of July to everybody coming up. Remember, keep your eyes open, have fun, stay safe, stay vigilant, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Dude, when your mom came and said, I found my hotspot.
Leave it in.
That's what I was dying. That's what I was cracking me up. Yeah.
Leave it in.
You all right with that? All right. I would have mentioned it more, but it was priceless. All right.
I should have mentioned it. That would have been fucking hilarious. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,